Foretold in the ancient prophecies of our ancestors that a time would come when the great minds and heart of Africa would converge like the threads of the spider's web, weaving a network of unity and strength. This is the time. This is the moment Africa must wake up from her slumber.
round of applause for them. A masterful rendition of our theme, delivering Africa's single markets through infrastructure. Invest, connect, integrate.
Together, we gather not as scattered armies, but as a united force, ready to reclaim our place as the light of the world. For the fire of Africa's future is not just a dream. The fire of hope is burning once more, and it will light the way to a new dawn of Africa's prosperity.
It is requested that we all be seated and hold ourselves in readiness. Shortly we'll be joined by the Vice President of our Republic, and every other thing will receive on time or point on message. Please put your hands together one more time for the Noya Africa Dance Institute. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Vice President of our Republic, Her Excellency Professor Nana Jane Bukwajima. We begin this afternoon with a tribute to our host nation, Ghana, the national anthem. To rest and abide with us. Amen. Please be seated. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a short introductory video to the Africa Prosperity Dialogues 2025.
This is the Africa Prosperity Dialogues 2020. Why are we here in this moment and at this crossroads? For centuries, Africa has moved slowly, bound truly connect as one people. Cross-border trade is affected by border delays, bribes and bad roads. What should take days takes weeks, affecting profits and shrinking commercial growth. It should not be too hard to trade with our neighbors. The story of our drivers is not unique. Across Africa, trade flows are stifled by barriers both physical and systemic. Intra-African trade stands at just 15 to 17%, the lowest of any continent. Poorly connected railways, decaying roads, and ports built to extract, not connect, reflect a legacy that still holds us back. But these challenges, while daunting, are not insurmountable. Across the continent, a new vision is emerging, a collective drive to invest, connect, and integrate. The winds are changing. It's time to rewrite the story. It's time to build Africa's single market. This isn't just about trade. It's about freedom, prosperity, and pride. By connecting Africa seamlessly, we unlock our collective potential. This is the step change. An Africa that no longer waits, but moves. Moves with purpose, with pride, and with power. This is the time to invest, the time to connect, and the time to integrate. Welcome to Africa's tomorrow.
Together for the consistency of effort, the third time in a row, to ministers of state from Ghana and abroad, excellencies, heads of mission, honorable members of parliament, our esteemed traditional rulers, executives of multinational organizations, our business leaders, captains of industry, investors, civil society organizations, distinguished speakers and delegates, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, it is with delight we welcome you to Accra, Ghana, at the center of the home of the largest continental free trade area in the world, and for the second time in a row, the second safest country in Africa. The Nigerians are jealous, so they didn't clap. We meet here at the Accra International Conference Center. It is the home of many continental deliberations since 1991, as we add to the roll call of many prestigious events, this all-important summit. But soon, this venue will be given a little augmentation through the biggest convention center that will be built right here in Accra, Ghana, at the Trade Fair Center. It is the Trade Fair Convention Center, which will be up before end of the year. If you're happy for us, a round of applause. It is our prayer that today our gathering here as critical players of Africa's prosperity will give us an opportunity to review the progress made in the implementation of the African single market and how the private sector can lead in driving the AfTA with the needed acceleration. Time is fast spent, and so I shall plead with all speakers who come up to please stick to their allotted time, 5 minutes, no more, no less. In welcoming us is a woman of strength, of character, and of great expertise. Would you please make welcome our chairperson of the African Prosperity Network Advisory Council, Her Excellency, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma.
Deputy Ministers, Members of Parliament, our natural rulers, captains of industry, and distinguished participants. It is with immense pleasure and honor that I welcome you to the Africa Prosperity Dialogue 2025. We're gathered here in Accra, a city that has long been a beacon of African Pan-African vision, testament to our resilience and our unyielding ambition. Today we stand on the precipice of transformation as we deliberate on shaping the future of our continent. Of course, the theme of the year, delivering Africa's single market through infrastructure, invest, connect, integrate, is not just an idea, it is an urgent call to action. The African Continent Free Trade Area is not an abstract policy framework. It is a generational mandate to unite our economies, facilitate trade, unlocking prosperity for all Africans. It is the key that will free us from the economic chains that have for too long ensured that Africa remains underdeveloped. To realize this vision, we must invest, connect, and integrate. Infrastructure is the lifeblood of any economy. It is the roads, railways, airways, and seaways that link not our villages to our cities, but that link our countries. But more importantly, that we move trade between our countries. It is the power that, and we need energy infrastructure because it is the power that fuel our industries. The digital highways that connect our young entrepreneurs to global markets, and the bridges that unite Africa as one economic force. It is the foundation of self-sufficiency. Africa does not merely consume, but it must create, produce, and lead. Our ambition cannot be limited to constructing roads and railways and ports. We must own and manufacture the trains that run on them. We must unlock the potential of the ocean economy. We must begin to own and manufacture the ships that dock in our harbors. Africa must move beyond being an exporter of raw materials and become the manufacturer of the future. We must beneficiate our minerals. All the minerals that the world needs, we have, but we give them to the world and we don't use them for our own development. So, in beneficiating our minerals, it will mean we are price callers, not price takers. It will also mean that the wealth of the continent will remain here because we are the biggest exporters of jobs and revenue when we export raw materials. The Africa Continental Free Trade offers us an unparalleled opportunity, a single market for over 1.3 billion people, with a combined gross domestic product of more than $3.4 trillion. But let us be clear, if we do not own the means of production, if we do not prioritize industrialization, we'll remain where we are and keep exporting jobs. Over the years, the Africa Prosperity Dialogue has become a premier platform for giving partners that drive regional integration, intra-Africa trade, and sustained investment. We've not just spoken, we've acted. The 2024 Prudence Compact, developed with partners such as the Africa Continental Free Trade Secretariat, the United Nations Economic Commission, UNECA, and the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, is a landmark achievement. It aligns our efforts with Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. This is a bold statement of Africa's commitment to self-sufficiency and economic sovereignty. Moreover, the launch of the mobile money Interoperability Symposium has underscored the critical role of financial inclusion in economic integration. The decision by the African Union mid-year coordinating meeting to adopt the continent-wide interoperability proposal is testament to our collective resolve to dismantle trade barriers that have long hindered economic growth. Of course, we cannot speak of prosperity and development without recognizing the indispensable role of women and young people. Women are not just contributors to economic growth, they are the foundation of sustainable development. From agriculture to trade, from politics to science and technology, women drive our economy forward. Yet, they continue to face barriers that limit their full participation. If Africa is to thrive, we must break these barriers, ensuring that women have equal access to capital, to markets, leadership, and decision-making spaces. Young people are not just the future, they are the present. They are actually the bridge between the present and the future. With more than 60% of Africa's population under the age of 25, this is not just a demographic statistics. It is our greatest competitive advantage. We must invest in the skills revolution and opportunities that enable young Africans to innovate and to lead. If we fail to empower them, we will have failed in our duty to build the Africa that we want, that is not only prosperous, but also just and equitable. If we don't invest in the young people, we'll continue to see the sorry sights of young people crossing and drowning in the Mediterranean, leaving our continent out of desperation, not out of choice. But we must also confront the enduring power dynamics that have defined Africa's engagement with the world. For too long, we've been positioned as recipients of aid rather than partners in development. As one of our sons of the soil, Steve Biko, so powerfully reminded us, and I quote, "The most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed." We must free ourselves from dependency, embrace self-sustainability, taking control of our own developmental trajectory. Africa is not poor, but Africans are poor. Africa has never been poor. It is the structuring of global trade, the extraction of wealth, and the legacy of historic exploitation that has impoverished us. That era must end. Distinguished guests, the time has passed for rhetoric. This is our moment to make history. We must act not in isolation, but together as united Africa. Let this be the moment to recommit ourselves to the Africa we want, an Africa that no longer exports its potential but harnesses it. Let us leave this dialogue not merely inspired, but equipped with concrete strategies, commitments, and partnerships that will bring our vision to life. I urge every participant here to actively engage in the deliberations. Let this be an opportunity to network, to strategize, and to collaborate in ways that will leave a lasting impact. As we embark on this journey, let us remember, history will not judge us by the speeches we make. but by the Africa we leave behind. I thank you.
Her Excellency Dr. Susanna Dlamini Zuma is the chairperson of the Africa Prosperity Network Advisory Council, and if she speaks so passionately about Africa, it's because under her dynamic leadership as the very first female chairperson of the African Union Commission, please, a round of applause. Her tenure was marked by a very defining moment for the continent, which sets the overarching agenda for the continent's next 50 years, from 2013 to 2063. Under her leadership and direct drive, Africa's strategic framework for socio-economic transformation, Agenda 2063, was developed and adopted. Please, a round of applause for a woman who breaks ceilings. We thank you for your leadership, and the Vice President is very proud of you, being a woman who's broken several ceilings also. And so we move on to receive our first remark from our speakers. For 30 years, they have been in the business of empowering small businesses to improving healthcare and education. MTN's commitment to Africa's growth remains steadfast to bridge the digital divide, thereby enabling millions to thrive. They do this because they believe everyone deserves the benefits of a modern, connected life. Make welcome the CEO, MTN Ghana, Mr. Stephen Lewis.
Her Excellency Professor Nana Jane Apoku Ajman, our Vice President of Ghana, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, the Chairperson of the APN Advisory Council, our traditional leaders, our CEO colleagues, business leaders, senior officials, the media, and you, our distinguished guests. I'm delighted to join you all in this year's Africa Prosperity Network dialogue here in Accra. On behalf of MTN Ghana, it is my singular honor and privilege to welcome our brothers and our sisters from other parts of the African continent to Accra. I trust you will enjoy your visit and get to experience the finest hospitality that Ghana is famed for. I'm sure you will get to experience the Aquaba spirit, and I'm sure you will use the best network in Ghana, MTN. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for many years, Africa has suffered a poor image as the world's poster child for negative stereotypes such as war, disease, famine, and many others. Whilst the continent does have its challenges, there is also truths that risk getting drowned in a single story being projected as the narrative for Africa. Ours is a vibrant continent with a youthful population that can be harnessed for productivity with the right skills set. It's a continent with huge natural resources that can transform its fortunes with the right management and governance skills. It's a continent that offers exciting investment opportunities. And we as MTN are example of how much that investment can be and how much it can be good for the continent and for business. In trade and energy and in digitization and many, many other opportunities exist in Africa. Indeed, Africa is the place to be. This is the continent. And I mentioned the youthful population, and to pick up what Dr. Dlamini Zuma said, and I know the VP feels strongly about this, we have to develop our women, our young girls. We need to give them ICT skills. We have to give them digital skills so they can be part of the development of our continent. And we are committed to that as MTN. This morning, the various conversations that took place here at the APD focused on international private-public partnerships, the role of the AfCFTA in eliminating trade barriers, the mobilization of finance for urban development, and transport and logistics to make free trade a possibility among several others. As this conference progresses, we look forward to further engagements on sustainable energy, digital infrastructure, and other themes. Ladies and gentlemen, at MTN Ghana and indeed wider MTN family, we are particularly excited about these important conversations and are proud to play a pivotal role as Africa's leading telecommunications provider. And I always like to add, we are born in Africa and we are from Africa, and we're proud of that heritage. This is because all the discussions on delivering Africa's single market through infrastructure will come to naught without investing in connectivity and integration, which is what the theme of the conference is all about. Digital access, internet connectivity, digital literacy, which is what I mentioned just now, and skills as well as promotion of e-commerce, mobile banking, and a host of others are central to our vision for Africa as a brand that is at the heart of harnessing Africa's potential. This platform presents a fine opportunity for MTN to position itself as a valued partner in Africa's progress, spurring critical conversations and shaping our future. That is why for us the APT is hugely significant, assembling great minds and leaders in various sectors across the continent to come together and share insights and experience and commit towards building a resilient Africa that can offer its people the opportunity of real growth and prosperity in a meaningful way. When I think of these things, I always am reminded that our time is now. It's a time of action, and we need to remember that we need to move forward with that mindset. Africa's prosperity is the sum of the prosperity of all of her countries working together through its cross-border institutions, such as the AFCFTA, the AFDB, and the African Union, and others. Together, in the true spirit of a Pan-African cooperation, we can control and shape our narrative, and I'm confident that we will seize the opportunities for our continent. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you for providing solutions for the progress of Africa. At the heart of Ghana's and Africa's digitalization efforts is a wholly owned Ghanaian group of companies, and through a network of specialized business units, promote efficient solutions and effective tech-based related services to customers across Ghana and partner operating regions. Please make welcome KTL Group, the Executive Chairman, Mr. Alex Apau-Gadi.
I think due to time, I'm editing as I go on. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic, Jane Nana Agyeman, distinguished guests, I want to stand on all protocols observed this morning. It is with great pride and humility that I stand before you today at the African Prosperity Dialogues 2025. And also as a representative and talking for corporate Ghana. We are here just to discuss Africa's future, but to redefine it through collaboration, innovation, and an unyielding belief in the continent's limitless potential. As we gather under the theme delivering African single market through infrastructure, invest, connect, integrate, we acknowledge that the path towards African prosperity is a journey that demands vision, a collaborative spirit, and a shared sense of purpose. Your Excellency, I want to dwell on two major issues very close to my heart. It's private-public partnerships and diaspora and socio-economic inclusion. Africa, with its diverse nations and culture, holds immense promise, yet its potential is still largely untapped due to systemic barriers. One of the most significant hurdles to overcome is the fragmented nature of the continent's markets, which have made it difficult for countries to effectively trade with each other and share resources and scale up innovations. This fragmentation enhance their livelihoods. The vision of a single African market is one that enables seamless flow of goods, services, capital, and people. To achieve this, we must focus on three interconnected pillars: invest, connect, and integrate. Investment is the cornerstone of every thriving economy, and in Africa, we need for a substantial investment in infrastructure. To unlock the full potential of the African Continental Free Trade Area and foster intra-African trade, we need to address the infrastructural deficit that has long plagued the continent. While investment lays the foundation, connectivity speaks to the lifeblood of a truly integrated market. Infrastructure must be built in such a way that connects not only the major cities and capitals, but also the remote areas. The KGL group of companies, of which I lead as executive chairman, is truly committed to leading the way in Ghana's digital transformation, spanning fintech, logistics, trade, commerce, with presence in other African countries. Central to our growth is the power of public-private partnership, which serves as a cornerstone for delivering critical infrastructure and fostering sustainable economic growth. The private sector has a pivotal role to play in building sustainable and thriving economies. I have always maintained that governments do not create wealth, the private sector does, and by incentivizing it to do so is the surest way to ensure growth. By also focusing on collaborations between public-private entities, we unlock immense potential to accelerate infrastructural projects and improve the delivery of services. This bold approach allows government to leverage the expertise, innovation, and funding of private enterprises to tackle the complex challenges and facilitate economic development in ways that would otherwise be unattainable. Private enterprises like the KGL Group have a pivotal role to play in the structural transformation of African economies. Your Excellency, permit me to highlight my point by citing a couple of major infrastructural interventions the KGL Group have made in partnership with public entities, which has brought huge financial benefits to the country. First is our strategic partnership with the Ghana National Lottery Authority. This partnership has revitalized the state lottery sector in Ghana by turning it from a loss-making one to one of the most profitable state enterprises in Ghana in just under 4 years, thereby making significant contributions to the national coffers and good causes. This has been achieved by combining KGL's technology innovation, operational efficiency, marketing expertise, and capital injection with the government's regulatory framework and public trust. Another example is the group's partnership with the Ministry of Fisheries and Agricultural Development. This collaboration focused on implementing cutting-edge fuel management systems for the fisheries sector. Fuel Automation Ghana Limited, a subsidiary of KGL Group, designed, built, and fully financed without a penny from the government automation platform for over 200 beach landing sites for the premix fuel across the country. This initiative has brought transparency, accountability, and efficiency to a sector historically plagued with inefficiency, corruption, and mismanagement. thereby saving the government $30 million annually. These examples highlight the profound impact of public-private partnership collaborations across the country to solve national challenges, whether it's revitalizing the lottery sector, improving premix fuel, exploring sustainable energy solutions. Public-private partnerships have the potential to drive substantial economic and social development. The KGL Group has to date, in the last 10 years, invested over $400 million in the economy of Ghana. Without a shred of doubt, the success of PPPs also depends on conducive socio-political environment and alignment. Political stability, rule of law, respect for property rights and contractual agreement by the state are essential for building business confidence and removing suspicion. Political alignment ensures that the public-private collaborations are not only economically viable, but are also aligned to national policies and long-term developmental goals. This dimension brings coherence between public sector innovation and private sector innovation and public policy frameworks, fostering a shared vision of addressing challenges. As we continue the quest to bridge Africa's infrastructural gap and find ways of funding, there lies a crucial, often overlooked resource: the African diaspora. The African diaspora remains our most valuable resource for investment and growth. With over 150 million people spread across the globe, the African diaspora represents an immense pool of talent, expertise, and financial capital. This population is not only geographically distant, it is brimming with a wealth of untapped potential that could be the catalyst for the continent's growth. Traditionally, the focus of many African governments has been on attracting foreign direct investment, FDI, as a key economic driver. While FDI and ODA, which is Overseas Development Aid, certainly play an important role, it is time for Africa to rethink this strategy. We must consider an alternative that is not only about capital inflow, but also the unique value of the African diaspora. Distinguished guests, Your Excellency, I stand before you this afternoon as an ardent advocate of diaspora inclusion in the socio-economic transformation of Africa. My story and that of the KGL Group, having invested significantly not only in Ghana but other African countries, is a clear manifestation of the investment power the African diaspora can unleash into our markets. My story is no different from that of millions of African diasporans waiting in cities like London, New York, Frankfurt, and other parts of the world to engage with the motherland. Governments should formulate diaspora engagement policies that can attract them and accelerate their relocation and integration. I would therefore like to recommend diaspora direct investment, as we call it, DDI, as a preferred option to FDI and ODA. It shifts the focus from often unpredictable and external nature of FDI to a more intrinsic, sustainable source of growth investment from people who already have a deep understanding of the continent, its challenges and its opportunities. Unlike FDI, Your Excellency, which often depends on global economic trends and foreign policies, diaspora direct investment is rooted in personal connections, shared cultural ties, and a vested interest in the prosperity of the continent. Remittances from African diaspora has already proven to be an economic lifeline for many African countries, contributing billions annually to local economies. In 2023, according to the World Bank, Africa received over $100 billion in remittances as compared to $42 billion in official development aid and $40 billion in FDI. However, Africa must go beyond merely being recipient of remittances. It's about time to unlock the next level of diaspora investment by channeling remittances into structured investment products for investing directly into local businesses, industries, and infrastructure projects instead of consumption. Your Excellency, Africa's future lies in the purposeful creation of great African business champions or conglomerates on whose shoulders others will stand on. African conglomerates capable of competing in the global arena. Conglomerates that embody our rich culture, heritage, contribute to African prosperity and inspire pride across the continent. Through strategic partnerships and an unwavering commitment to growth, Africa can redefine its position in the global economy. This is a task that requires collective effort. While the public plays a role, it cannot achieve this alone. We need robust collaboration between public and private sectors to design and implement policies and initiatives that will address the unique challenges businesses face today. Through strategic partnerships, we can create solutions that not only overcome present obstacles, but also build a prosperous, resilient Africa for the future. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here today, let us remember that the future of Africa lies in our hands. The path of prosperity is one that requires bold decisions, innovative thinking, and unwavering collaboration. We must leverage the power of inclusion and collaboration, harness the potential of diaspora, create tax incentives to attract investment, and support the next generation of entrepreneurs. Together, we can build a more integrated, prosperous, and resilient Africa. Let us rise to the challenge, invest in our infrastructure, connect to our market, and integrate our economies. The future of Africa is bright, and it starts each one of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alex Alvade, Executive Chairman of the KTO Group, for your bold efforts and being the champion of diaspora inclusion in Africa's progress. I urge all speakers to please stick to the allotted time, 5 minutes, failing which sanctions shall apply. Let's now talk about economic development, integration, and trade through the Department of Economic Affairs, DEA, that promotes the work of the African Union in the area of economic integration and private sector development and engagement. Make welcome the Director, EDTI, African Union Commission, Mr. Jamal Grigg.
Your Excellency, Jane Opoku, Ajman, Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Your Excellency, Dr. Zozana Dlamini Zuma, Chair of the Advisory Council of the APD, Your Excellency, my sister, this sister, Dr. Fatima, Chair, Secretary General of Badia, Your Excellency, my dear sister, Dr. Asfour Amani, President of the Africa Business Council, my dear friend, Gabi Asare Alche, Garbo Executive Chairman and founder of the Africa Prosperity Network. It's both a privilege and a profound responsibility to address you today on behalf of the African Union Commission on the pivotal gathering, the Africa Prosperity Dialogue 2025. This year themes delivering Africa's single market through infrastructure, invest, connect, integrate is not just a call to action, but a clarion call for unity, innovation, and bold leadership. as we collectively work to transform the Africa Continental Free Trade Area from a visionary framework into live reality for all Africa. The AfCFTA stands as one of the most ambitious and transformative initiatives in Africa's history. It is more than a trade agreement. It is a blueprint for unlocking Africa's vast economic potential, fostering industrialization, and driving inclusive growth. Yet, the realization of this vision hinges one of the critical enabler, infrastructure. Without modern, efficient, and interconnected infrastructure, the promise of a single market will remain unfulfilled. Infrastructure is not merely a facilitator of trade, it is the foundation upon which Africa's economic future will be built. Transport corridors, digital networks, energy systems, and trade facilitation mechanisms are the arteries that will connect our economies, empower our business, and enable Africa to compete on the global stage. However, the challenge is stark. The African Development Bank estimates that Africa faces an annual infrastructure financing gap of $68 billion to $108 billion. Bridging this gap demands innovative financing solutions, robust public-private partnership, and a concerted effort to mobilize private sector capital. We must also leverage blended finance mechanisms and explore new avenues of investment to ensure that infrastructure projects are not only viable but also sustainable. The private sector is the lifeblood of the African economic transformation. To unlock its full potential, we must create an enabling environment that reduces trade barriers, harmonizes regulation, and fosters policy coherence across borders. The African Union Commission is committed to work hand in hand with financial institutions, investors, and businesses to de-risk investment and accelerate the delivery of cross-border infrastructure projects. Our message to the private sector is unequivocal. You are not just the stakeholders in this journey, you are its driving force. Government and development institutions must work tirelessly to create the conditions that empower business to strive, innovate, and lead African integration agenda. The journey to deliver Africa's single market is one we cannot undertake alone. Collaboration with development finance institutions, multilateral partners, and global investors is essential. Initiatives such as the Africa Investment Forum, the Program for Infrastructure Development Africa, PIDA, and the G20 Compact with Africa underscore the importance of international cooperation in advancing our infrastructure agenda. Yet, while partnerships are vital, African infrastructure investment must be guided by African ownership, aligned with our strategic priorities and anchored in a long-term sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, the time for deliberation is over. We have the vision, the strategies, and the political will. What we need to now is unwavering commitment, decisive action, and measurable results. However, to realize Africa's full potential, we must decisively address the infrastructure funding gap. Africa traditional funding models heavily reliant on sovereign debt and concessional lending are no longer sufficient. We must rethink our approach, moving away from direct lending toward risk mitigation mechanisms that unlock substantial private sector flow. The African Union Commission is playing a pivotal role in advancing innovative financing mechanisms to bridge this gap, ensuring infrastructure investment are sustainable, bankable, and attractive to investors. Our focus is on, first, risk mitigation through first loss guarantee funds. By establishing first loss capital structure, we can de-risk projects and grow in private investment at scale. This fund serves as a buffer, absorbing initial losses to incentivize institutional investor, pension fund, and sovereign wealth fund to commit capital to Africa infrastructure. Second, insurance and reinsurance solution, recognizing that a country risks is a major deterrent for investors. We are promoting risk coverage through insurance and reinsurance mechanisms. These instruments safeguard against political risks, foreign exchange volatility, and other macroeconomic uncertainty, ensuring greater investor confidence. 3, reforming the role of the credit rating agency and fair An overly conservative rating by international agencies continue to inflate borrowing costs for the African economies, creating an artificial barrier to investment. The EU is actively advocating for a more balanced and transparent rating agency, while also working toward an Africa-led credit rating agency to offer alternative assessment that reflect the true investment potential of African investors. 5. Blended finance and de-risking investment. We are leveraging blended finance model that combine concessional funds with private capital to lower risk exposure. These include using local debt and equity instrument to anchor projects, thus reducing foreign exchange risk and enhancing long-term financial sustainability. 6. Securitization and credit enhancement. Africa must take full advantage of risk transfer mechanisms such as securitization and credit enhancement. Through partial risk credit guarantees and credit wrap instruments, we can enhance credit worthiness, making African infrastructure projects more attractive to global institutional investors. Stable and predictable regulatory framework. This is the last one. Investment thrives in an environment of stability. We are working with member states to issue clear, predictable, and harmonized regulatory framework that facilitate long-term infrastructure financing to reduce policy uncertainty and enhance investor trust. As a full member of the G20, the African Union is actively shaping global financial governance to address Africa's infrastructure deficit. Our priority is to first advocate the global financing reform. We are pushing for a recalibration of the global financial architecture to ensure more concessional financing, increase participation of African financial institutions in global market, and expand the role for private sector financing in Africa infrastructure. Second, mobilize G20 support for infrastructure development. We are engaging with multilateral development banks, development finance institutions, DFIs, and sovereign wealth funds to scale up investment in Africa strategic infrastructure project. Third, promote Africa as an investment destination. By amplifying Africa's voice in global economic governance, we aim to shift perception about investment risk, demonstrating the continent's economic resilience, innovation, potential, and policy reform that create an enabling environment for long-term. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, Africa stands at the defining moment in its history. We can either remain a continent of untapped potential or rise as a global economic powerhouse. The choice is ours. The time is incremental progress is over. This is the moment for bold action, transformative change, and a collective commitment to building an Africa that thrives. Government must accelerate regulatory framework, eliminate trade barriers, and create an environment conducive to investment. Investors must step forward with capital, committing to bankable projects and deliver both financial returns and social impact. Third, financial institutions must innovate and look in blended finance solution that bridges the funding gap. And fourth, business must seize the opportunities of single market, scaling up investment in a cross-border trade and value chain. As I conclude, we engage in this critical dialogue over the coming days. Let us remember that the future of Africa's prosperity is not a distant dream. It is a reality we can shape together. Let us invest in infrastructure and connect our people, integrate our economies, and deliver a single market that transforms the lives of Africa's 1.4 billion citizens. The African Union Commission remains steadfast in its commitment to working with all stakeholders, government, investors, multilateral institutions, and private sector actors to ensure that Africa's infrastructure ambition translates into tangible, high-impact projects that drive trade, industrialization, and inclusive growth. Together, let us build an Africa that is not only prosperous, but also united, resilient, and fully integrated into the global economy. Allow me to wish you fruitful deliberation, and thank you very much.
Many thanks to you, Director, EDTI, African Union Commission, Jamel Grib. 50 years of Arab-African cooperation significantly contributing to economic development and cooperation between African and Arab countries through impactful investments. These projects have created jobs, improved living standards, and spurred economic growth across the continent. Make welcome the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa, the Secretary General, Badia, Her Excellency Dr. Fatima El Sheikh.
I am exceptionally thrilled and pleased today that as an African, and maybe I should be more accurate, Arab African woman, that the first I have to greet today are pioneers in their domain. Your Excellency, Madam Vice President, I think if I'm not mistaken, you are the first Vice President in Ghana. Your Excellency, Madam Zuma, you are the first African Union chairperson, a name that was always for men. Honorable Ministers, Excellency Brother Jamal, Director of EDTI, distinguished guests, business leaders, ladies and gentlemen, our co-sponsors of the event that believes in dialogue, that believes in African Prosperity Network, all protocol observed. Good afternoon, everybody. It is an honor to stand before you today at Africa Prosperity Dialogue 2025 edition in the vibrant and beautiful city of Accra, Ghana, a place of deep historical and strategic significance for the Africa Prosperity Network, APN, for convening this crucial platform at such a pivotal time for the continent. Accra is not only the home of the Africa Free Trade Agreement, but it's also the heart of Africa's integration effort. It's also the city that witnessed the birth of the Africa-Arab collaboration, the new domain of the Africa-Arab Financial Consortium. This landmark initiative that brings together key financial institutions from the Arab world, Africa, marks a new era of Africa-Arab collaboration. Badia is immensely proud that this consortium will mobilize greater resources for Africa. Last year, the Arab Coordination Group committed 50 billion for Africa sustainable development. We are very proud that Badia is the first front runner with these resources to make sure that the African continent is able to leverage that resource for its development. The theme of this year's dialogue, Delivering Africa's Single Market through Infrastructure, Invest, Connect and Integrate, perfectly aligns with our shared vision. The Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement is a game changer for us. It is also a success that we can realize, but depends on our robust infrastructure transformation. Badia have invested more than $15 billion so far in the continent. More than 60% or 70% of that was dedicated for infrastructure. More than 40 airports we've built in the continent. We have had a lot of what we call them the isolation liberation roads. These are roads that connect the landlocked countries with ports and access to sea. We are very proud that Badia's new ambition 5-year plan that we recently launched, $18 billion that we want to program over the next 5 years, are actually focusing on continuation of our infrastructure development. At Badia, we don't see infrastructure as a bridge to prosperity and integration only, we see it as a human-centered approach to development. We remain committed to working with governments, private sector, who are very proud that we are partnering with them today on the digital transformation, on the financial inclusion, and on the development of Africa, to facilitate the trade and industrialization across the borders of Africa, towards a continent that does not recognize historical or colonial borders that were born in the continent without our desire. Badia recently gathered here in Ghana, as I've mentioned, to make sure that we are able to leverage new resources. But I think while we are doing that, we need to also be cognizant of the sustainability goal. We need to invest in ensuring that the infrastructures that we develop in the continent is actually a sustainable future for the rest of the world, for the rest of the generations to come. As we gather here in Accra, let's reaffirm our collective commitment to transforming from a vision to an action. And I'm here, allow me to quote 2 critical visions that the continent is racing against. the Agenda 2030 for the Sustainable Development Goal, and the Africa 2063, where we have the pioneer of the Africa 2063 agenda. And we have very limited time for the generation to come to realize this vision. But his commitment to partnership with Africa Prosperity Network is not a commitment for visibility, and it's not a commitment that we see as an opportunity for doing more business or creating more leverage for Africa. It's actually a commitment that we see in the opportunity of exploring new avenues in the continent. A commitment where we believe that the one way to build dividends in economic and social transformation in the continent is through dialoguing, is through an active dialogue with the partners in the continent to make sure that we understand the voices of the Africa, but we also we understand the future that they want and they demand that we craft. Badia is proud to be part of this journey, and I look forward to the impactful discussion. Before concluding, allow me to send a special, sincere appreciation and thank you note to a dear friend, a brother, and I think who spared no effort in making sure that the dialogue happens. He invests his own time, resources, and we know that your time is quite valuable, Gabi. Thank you so much for making sure that all of us are here. I really want to thank you on behalf of Gabi, but on behalf of all the partners in the ABN network. Thank you, Ghana, for hosting us. Thank you for being the Gold Coast of Africa. Thank you for being the trade hub and window for a better future in Africa. Thank you.
And she did all this in 4 minutes, 51 seconds. Put your hands together. Secretary General Badia, thank you for being a beacon of hope, a catalyst for development, and a symbol of the enduring bond between our two regions. And now, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to invite the African Export-Import Bank, AfriExim, the foremost Pan-African multilateral financial institution devoted to financing and promoting intra and extra-Africa trade. Please welcome Managing Director, Gwen Nwaba.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of Ghana, Your Excellency, Madam Zuma, distinguished guests, esteemed ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to stand before you today at the Africa Prosperity Dialogues 2025, representing the African Export and Import Bank, a steadfast partner in the journey towards a prosperous and integrated Africa. Today, we gather under an important theme: delivering Africa's single market through infrastructure. Invest, connect, and integrate. This theme is not merely a call to action. It's a vision that encapsulates the essence of our collective future. A future where Africa is united, thriving, and resilient. Let us begin with investment. Infrastructure is the backbone of any economy. It is the foundation upon which we build our dreams. In Africa, we are blessed with abundant resources and a youthful energy. Yet, to unlock this potential, we must invest significantly in our infrastructure, our roads, our railways, our ports and energy systems. When it comes to infrastructure, in Africa, bridging 130 billion to 170 billion financing gap is a major challenge that requires innovative approaches to deliver our infrastructure needs. AfriExim Bank is committed to financing projects that will transform our infrastructure landscape on the continent. We are actively working to mobilize both public and private investments to bridge the financing gap that has hampered our progress for far too long. We must create ecosystems that attract investments by ensuring transparency, reducing risks, and fostering innovation. Only then can we transform our continent into an interconnected marketplace that benefits all Africans. In addition to its debt financing, AfriExim Bank is supporting infrastructure financing through equity, under its subsidiary, the Fund for Export Development in Africa, or FEDA, by crowding in investment through its comprehensive guarantee offerings and ensuring infrastructure projects are realized through its innovative project preparation facility. However, infrastructure is not merely about physical structures. We must also connect. Infrastructure is about connections that we forge between nations, communities, and economies. The African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, presents a remarkable opportunity to enhance trade and foster collaboration. However, its success hinges on our ability to connect markets through seamless transport logistic networks. Imagine a continent where goods, services, and ideas flow freely across borders. A place where a farmer in Kenya can easily reach consumers in Ghana, or an entrepreneur in Nigeria can collaborate with a tech startup in South Africa. This vision can only be realized if we prioritize the development of our regional corridors, digital infrastructure, and cross-border initiatives. At Afreximbank, we are championing projects that facilitate this connectivity. We are working with governments, private sector players, and regional organizations to create integrated transport networks that will not only enhance trade, but also foster unity and cooperation across our nations. We are working with the AfCFTA and the African Union on addressing issues related to cross-border payments through the Pan-African Payments and Settlement Systems, PAPS. This will not only allow for payments using local currencies, but will also save the continent an estimated $5 billion annually. Finally, we must integrate. Integration goes beyond physical infrastructure. It encompasses harmonizing policies, regulations, and standards across our continent. It's about creating a conducive environment where businesses can operate seamlessly, regardless of geographic boundaries, and goods and people can move freely. Afreximbank is working with the AfCFTA and regional economic communities to facilitate cross-border movement of goods through our African Collaborative Transit Guarantee Scheme. To achieve the ambition of our single market and African integration, we must work collaboratively. Governments, private sector, civil society must come together and harmonize trade regulations, reduce tariffs, and dismantle non-tariff barriers. We must invest in human capital, fostering skills and knowledge that empower our people to thrive in a connected marketplace. Moreover, we should leverage technology to facilitate integration. Digital platforms can revolutionize trade by simplifying processes and enhancing access to markets. Initiatives like the African Trade Gateway, championed by Afreximbank, can provide the critical infrastructure needed to support our vision of a single market. In conclusion, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as we embark on this journey to deliver Africa's single market, let us remember that our strength lies in our unity. We must invest, connect, and integrate with determination and with purpose. The time to act is now. Together, we can create a vibrant Africa that stands as a beacon of prosperity, innovation, and resilience. Thank you for your attention, and let us move forward together, investing, connecting, and integrating for a prosperous Africa. Thank you very much.
We say many thanks to you, Managing Director of Afreximbank, and Gwen Mwaba. Together, let's say it again: invest, connect, integrate. And this is how we're going to deliver Africa's single market through infrastructure. Let's now hear the perspectives from the courts, the ancestors, the youth, the children, the ordinary men and women, from the writer king who sips communion wine with the courts. Nana Sassi will render poetry and thereafter invite our guest of honor to deliver the address. Make welcome, Nana Sassi.
I am a force. I hate in the pool of all of this world. I'm the writer king who sips communion wine from the calabash. My people, I came to pour libation, not with drink, not with wine, but with words the world considers hefty. Can you imagine? The net we would have to rake in fish if we were to put our hands one in the palms of our hand. Our ancestors have taught me well enough. When I crack my nuts on the knees of the elders, I know the sound of a hollow bone. I know that truly, if a king sits in his palanquin and he is not carried, he simply calls the wind and calls the wind and he beats his chest and he's still stuck to earth. And so, it takes the back, without which there is no front, to ensure that Africa will work again. I came to present to you two sides of the drum. The animal's skin and then our chest as a people. For our chest are as good as a drum as any animal's skin could ever be. Africa, the time is here and a good matter is short. When a rich man goes to the market, people hardly have anything to buy. And this is a time where we all gather back at this crossroads of dreams, this market of 9 moons, where this great dream began. Dreams only fit for the strong, dreams only fit for men and women who dare to sleep. Who dare to sleep, dream, and then we have chosen to wake up and lend feet to our dreams. And so I invite you, my people, not only to come home, not only to come home and trade statistics, not only to come home and trade big words, but to come home and feel the wounds of the earth and realize that our umbilicals were cut on nomadic whetstones and the world could not interpret our steps, they called it dance. The world could not interpret the way we move our hands, and so they chose to call it goals and comings. My people, we know it is greater goal than all of this. And our common wealth is not stashed in gold, it is stashed in fantastic minds like yours and yours and yours and yours, and then mine. I beat my chest, for I am simply a child who has learned that a child is not held in contempt for calling his father's oath out of turn. I am proud to be African. For we keep the world going round. I have learned. It is only a child who is called the king's son when his father is alive. And as for him, I'll bounce on any animal. And as I say, Mama Quentin of us. Obisi Manwati, Obisi Miempenisa, and so share. Yabani Ebro will be to mention. And so it is high time. I invest my energy. You invest your intellect, invest some technology. My people, let us put up the structure, the infrastructure that will make Africa great and strong. Great again, a force to be reckoned with, like me when I hit with my words. Greater, for I am only a stone drop in the school of life. Agu Fiha. Only a Philistine points to his house with his father's left finger. Daughter in that wise thinks herself old enough to teach her own mother how to bear children, and so the world cannot take us for granted, my people. For we are the bones of the earth where she cooks her food and sends to the rest of the world, and today we stand on the verge of history. Urgency says I must end this conversation quickly, otherwise I would have played you the full distance of the drum and the xylophone. Africa, it is with pride that I call her Your Excellency. Your Excellency, as we stand on the verge of history, you are really a marker that we look up to, a standard to be attained. I call you Your Excellency for the world, but I call you Mother, for indeed you taught me to speak well. You taught me to step well. And so, I stand in the presence of elders with regular steps of riddles. My people, by next when we gather to count the harvest, let it not be talk, let it be statistic. I am a consumer not only of history but also of quality, and I can tell, for I have indeed carried water, I have carried drink, but above all I have carried oil. And so I can tell you, once we have done this practice, we shall know where we are going. Now, I am only a messenger who comes before. Mother comes to point our paths ahead, for indeed our paths to destiny lie within, but it takes one to light the torch and lead the path. Africa, are we ready? The moment is here. Your Excellency, Earth will receive you gently. If you take your steps, they are so sure. Africa,
The world is willing to listen. Ladies and gentlemen, first ever at the crossroads of dreams, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Her Excellency, Lady Professor J. Nana Opoku Adjumani. Your Excellency, a good matter is short. Let us see.
Thank you very much, Mr. CP. To all your excellencies, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Esteemed guests, all of us gathered here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I welcome all of you to our beloved country, the land of freedom and justice, and a beacon of Pan-Africanism. As we open this year's Africa Prosperity Dialogues, let me continue by extending the warmest Ghanaian greetings, Akwaba, to each one of you. We invite you not only to participate in these transformative dialogues and discussions, but also to immerse yourselves in our hospitality and heritage. This year's theme, Delivering Africa's Single Market through Infrastructure, Invest, Connect, Integrate, is a call to action for all of us to reset and accelerate Africa's journey towards integration and shared prosperity. It aligns perfectly well with the vision of our continent's founding fathers and mothers too. Since independence, Ghana has remained steadfast in its commitment to Africa's integration and unity. Today, we continue to champion this cause by actively supporting initiatives such as the AFTA, which is headquarters here in Accra. We commend the Africa Prosperity Network and the AFTA Secretariat for creating this platform, which brings together leaders from all over, both from the public and private sectors of our continent, to dialogue and find solutions to lasting, sustainable development. Distinguished participants, Africa's fragmented markets are a significant barrier to our economic potential. While our continent boasts of a population of 1.4 billion people and a combined GDP of more than 3.4 trillion, a significant part of the potential remains unfulfilled and will continue to do so if our markets remain divided. Integration is not just a theoretical concept, it is a lifeline to our collective future. By breaking down barriers and creating a single market, we can unlock immense opportunities, create jobs for our youth, and Madam Zuma, I agree with you, so we don't watch them drowning in other waters. We can also, by so doing, lift millions out of poverty. These dialogues are unique because they bring together voices from diverse sectors, trade, industry, banking, and more. And they ensure that Africa's single market is inclusive and representative. For example, women have long been at the forefront of trade on this continent, dominating cross-border businesses, and yet we continue to face significant barriers, from cumbersome regulations to inadequate infrastructure. Removing these impediments is not just a moral imperative, it is an economic necessity. Ladies and gentlemen, if Africa is to realize the dream of a single market, We must prioritize infrastructural development. Without transportation and means of it, without energy systems that connect our cities, our countries, our regions, without the movement of goods and services in guaranteed ways, people might remain, or our hopes might remain, a challenge. Research from the World Bank emphasizes that while Africa has made significant strides in this area, and a critical challenge still remains, and which is the lack of interconnectedness across our infrastructure networks, caused by a fragmented approach to policy. Furthermore, power remains the continent's most pressing infrastructure gap, with over 30 countries experiencing frequent power outages. For example, historically, infrastructure development has been shouldered almost exclusively by governments. However, the time has come to forge stronger partnerships with the private sector. Working together, we can bridge these gaps and drive both growth and transformation. Here in Ghana, we have made significant strides in developmental projects. Our airport is one of the best on the continent, I submit. And it remains a hub for regional and international travel. Our ports are being modernized to facilitate trade, and we are expanding our road and railway networks to connect key economic zones. In addition, Ghana's investments in the energy infrastructure are aimed at ensuring reliable and affordable power for industries and for households too. I must commend His Excellency the President of Ghana for his firm commitment to the development of infrastructure as a cornerstone to our economic transformation. However, as we celebrate our achievements, we must recognize that much more remains to be done across the continent and in the various regions and countries. Another important area is digital infrastructure. Mobile technology has already revolutionized financial inclusion in Africa, where services such as mobile money platforms bring banking services to the unbanked and bring banking services close to the consumer. In Ghana, we have prioritized mobile payment interoperability to ease trade and promote financial inclusion. Imagine the transformative impact of this technology. Imagine if this technology were scaled across the continent to enable seamless transactions between businesses and consumers in different countries. To expedite the single market agenda, we must invest collectively in building robust digital infrastructure. Besides connecting people and markets, this will also drive innovation and entrepreneurship. As we deliberate on these issues, I call on all of us as leaders to embrace and champion and expand this initiative. The success of the single market depends on our collective will and decisive action. We must accelerate progress to ensure that Africa's gains are realized for this and for the future generations. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we engage in today's sessions and deliberations, I encourage all of us to work, to network, to collaborate, to share ideas that will move us closer and closer to a single African market. And while we are here, please take some time to experience Ghana. I believe you will enjoy some of our food. Enjoy our unique perspectives, enjoy our unique people, and I know that even delicious cuisine awaits you at the end of today. Allow me to thank you and extend thanks again to the organizers for this kind invitation. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of our Republic, Excellency Professor Nana Jane Woodward. Your Excellency, if it pleases you, in time-held tradition of these conferences, we'd like to take a ceremonial photo. Respectfully invite you to the center as I invite you to join. Please be seated. As I invite you to join you in the spirit of inclusion, your sister, the chair. Speakers for the opening ceremony, Mr. Stephen Blewett, Mr. Alex Dade, Mr. Jamal Grip, Madame Gwen Mwaba, Excellency Dr. Fatima El Sheikh. Allow me to also welcome to join us, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Osu Lands, His Majesty Noche Owo, and the paramount Queen Mother of Sokwe traditional area leading the Unity Queens and the Ghana National Union of Queen Mothers, Mamaka Ajesu II. As we affirm our belief in this great nation, the host of the third Africa Prosperity Dialogues, as we sing, God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. If you don't play, we can sing. God bless our homeland. May God bless the Africa Prosperity Dialogue. May God bless you, the Vice President of our Republic. May God bless us all and our homeland, Africa. We shall all remain standing as the Vice President and the official party take leave of us. We shall continue with the rest of the program. Your Excellency the Vice President, please extend to the President of our Republic our warmest delight for his commitment to foster partnerships that transcend our borders and work collectively towards regional stability, economic growth. Hands together one more time in celebration.
Transforming Africa's trade.
Pascal is showing his boss the efficient new technology they've installed. She is pleased, but now she's asking, why is that still there? Pascal explains that he hired a security guard to protect the data shed. The boss is not so pleased anymore. If you haven't upgraded to cloud storage yet, it's time to get business done better than doing business.
Mami, wachi 5 cities.
5 cities. 6 cities.
6 cities. Na egg ya.
5 cities.
Chicken ya.
12 cities.
Na fish, isn't it?
12 cities. 6 cities.
Mami, gani pa ya. Na chuchu.
They say money changes people. How much money will change you? On 590 Mobile, the next cash offers can change everything. Play now on star 95 hash.
The inspiration behind Planet One Group is our philosophy from imagination to impact. This principle drives us to continually innovate creatively and efficiently, thereby delivering solutions which positively impact the lives of people around the world. Planet One Group has made positive impacts on developing societies through our innovations in education, agriculture, energy, and natural resources, sectors which play pivotal roles in laying the foundation for the rapid growth and prosperity of nations. Today, we're proud to have delivered successful societal outcomes across North America, United Kingdom, Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. Education. Planet One Education enables governments to bring nationwide transformation to their education systems. Its solutions provide a better future across the globe by implementing innovations for the entire education spectrum, from K-12 to employability and higher education. Our interventions address the key educative challenges through accessibility and inclusion, increasing capacity and enrollment, enhanced learning experience, improving employability by leveraging our holistic implementation model involving infrastructure development, technology-enabled teaching and learning solutions, new age content delivery, and competent competency-based training solutions. Agriculture. The ability to transform agriculture into a productive and thriving pillar of an economy is at the heart of our agriculture offering, which reinvigorates the entire agriculture value chain. Planet One helps governments create well-equipped, technologically advanced facilities that support many small and marginal farmers, improving their yields and incomes. By developing sustainable farm service centers, we empower these marginal farmers across the entire value chain of agriculture, training them in resilient production and processing techniques, providing access to modern agricultural mechanization, increasing coverage of storage facilities, empowering farmers with provision of processing facilities, and securing long-term offtake financing. Natural resources. Planet One Natural Resources is a global mining company focusing on future-enabling metals and minerals for a cleaner, greener world and to meet the everyday demands of billions of consumers. Engineering, procurement and construction. Our EPC and Engineering Solutions business unit spearheads sustainable infrastructure development projects in various countries. Our highly experienced professional teams execute large infrastructure projects from ideation to commissioning on a turnkey basis with single source responsibility. We take pride in our impeccable delivery track record with various governments worldwide.
Ladies and gentlemen, the project has been completed. It has been delivered. I'm happy to state that in spite of the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, Planet One Group has successfully completed the project on time.
Positive social impact and sustained growth are the heart of each project that Planet One undertakes.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, humbly I ask that we please be seated. Humbly I ask that we all be seated and hold ourselves in readiness for the next plenary. Thank you for your cooperation. Please be seated. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. You're very kind. Thank you for your cooperation. If you're caught still standing, you owe me a fine. Please be seated. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. From now till 6 o'clock, everything will proceed on time, on point, and on message. We begin with the second plenary, which will consist of a presentation on the state of AFTA. Thereafter, we should have a foundation to the first panel, which will be a context setting on filling the funding gap for infrastructure. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, if you're set, help me receive the Director, Coordination and Programs at the AFTA Secretariat, Dr. Chuteti Makom. A round of applause as she makes that compelling presentation to us on the state of the AFTA.
Hello. I can hear you.
Thank you very much, moderator.
Come again.
And I wish to take this opportunity to thank the organizers with whom we have a very good working relations with. And I'll briefly go through a few highlights as to where we are at the Secretariat, of course, in service of our member states. Let me start off by speaking to one important area, which is that as of today, we have 49 member states out of 54 signatories of the AFCFTA agreement, and these have deposited the instruments of ratification to the African Union Commission. And again, this shows that the number is actually increasing. We've had Liberia, and we've had the Republic of Madagascar, again ratifying the AFCFTA. There are also other areas, if you think about trade in goods, something that we are all familiar with. And with trading goods, there is what they call schedules, where you indicate exactly in which products you would have eliminated import duties. So just to simplify that, as of today, we have the provisional schedules of tariff concessions submitted by 49 of our members. By the way, this is record-breaking. Why? Because you will never see anything of this nature in terms of speed anywhere else in the world. These processes, they take decades. But today we have 49 of our member states having provided and submitted areas in which they are opening up the markets amongst themselves. So this is very, very important to record. And really it shows the political will and the resolve of our political leaders to ensure that this continent is indeed integrated economically. That's one important area. We also have another linked area. And I want to take a moment to say there is what they call rules of origin. Rules of origin. If you take a flight from the continent to China, maybe you're flying from Bole International Airport, you'll find a lot of Africans in that flight. And the question is, where are they going? They're going to buy goods from China. And if you think about how much it would cost a business person to take a flight and buy products and goods that they sell in the market from China, you can be sure that they're investing not less than $10,000. And the plane going out of the continent, it is always full. China, Turkey, and recently India, always full. Now the element of rules of origin, what it actually means is that we are saying the products that we trade in must be manufactured in the continent. And there are rules to determine that indeed the goods that we are producing are manufactured in the continent. We do not want a scenario where someone takes off, flies off to another country elsewhere, and they bring the goods to benefit from the preferences and opportunities that we are giving each other. So these rules, they are under negotiations, and so far we have achieved 92.3% of the negotiations have been completed. So you can tell that again, the continent is moving quite, frankly, very fast. In fact, today we are seeing in the global economy, some countries actually going backwards. And it's showing that there is no trade amongst themselves, and we're actually doing the opposite in the continent. And that's important. Two areas are quite key, and countries are trying to come together on to find consensus, and that is in the area of textiles, as well as the auto industry. A lot of work is going into this, and we believe that by the next assembly of the heads of state and government, we'll have a consensus in those areas, and the negotiations will be complete. Since we have business people in the room, I would like to allay your fears that there are instruments that are at your disposal. Please do not run to the head of state and say, shut down the market, because there will be an influx of goods coming my way. That's not how it works. Why? Because the AFCFTA provides rules to protect businesses. We have what we call trade remedies. And what that means is, if you have, if I may be allowed to use Ghana as an example, if you have a Ghanaian business that is producing perhaps textile products, maybe jackets or suits, and it so happens that by virtue of the opening up of the AFCFTA, it gets overwhelmed by competition. The AFCFTA has rules that allows the Republic of Ghana to actually close the market, to protect the domestic business, and of course there's a criteria on how to do that. So again, we need to send this message to our businesses to say that to an extent that you feel that you may be, let's say, competitively disadvantaged, there are rules within the agreement that can protect your business, of course, this being a legitimate competition issue. There is also a protocol on competition. If you go into any market and you are a business, you'll be able to actually be protected against monopoly, for example, in that particular market, against dominant position exerted by certain businesses in that market. So again, this is the message we want to take to businesses, to say we do have these instruments that are pro-business that can actually protect you to an extent that you feel that you may be challenged. However, it is also an opportunity for you to go and venture into other markets, and this is very, very important. There is a very popular initiative we have introduced, which is the Guided Trade Initiative, the GTI as it is known. And under the GTI, we've seen a significant uptake of the AFCFTA, and the GTI was meant to ensure that in the continent, we allow the businesses to test. We test the AFCFTA market. Is this instrument working? And it has proven that it is actually working. We learned lessons from it, and now we are moving forward to ensuring that we implement the full AFCFTA. Now, so far, we have about 2,850 certificates of origin. I talked about rules of origin. We want to make sure that these goods are manufactured in Africa, jobs are created in Africa. And again, the GTI has shown us that indeed we are getting there. And I would like to also just generally speak about other areas in trade and services. Also, there is what we call a schedule of specific commitments, where we indicate areas where we have opened up the markets. And again, countries are moving swiftly in opening up these particular markets. And moderator, I'll speak to one very important area, because again, Her Excellency spoke about it, and again, Her Excellency Madam Zuma has also spoken to this issue. Very important. And we are proud of this, very proud of this. We today have a protocol on digital trade. There is not any of such instrument anywhere else in the world. Not only that, it is a very comprehensive set of legal instruments that are poised to open up the market for our young people. I was amazed at the intervention by the CEO of MTN, and I was telling him, sitting next by him there, to say everything that you said about the digital economy, Africa has it captured in this protocol on digital trade. Business opportunities that I had in that particular protocol, they are amazing. Today, we can wake up and have our software engineers not running to the Silicon Valley. They can actually do the work right here in the continent. And therefore, it's a momentous achievement that the continent has actually been able to push. And in February, this very coming month, this particular instrument, which has already been adopted, its annexes will be adopted by the Assembly, and we are very excited because of the revolution that indeed it's going to bring about. And therefore, we are not going to see young people drowning in Lampedusa because of these job opportunities that are going to be created. And therefore, we invite businesses, and the Secretariat is open to engaging and sitting with you to take you through those opportunities that we have in this particular instrument. Let me end my remarks by saying that we have Biashara Africa, which is a forum for businesses. We open the doors for small and medium enterprises, for the large businesses to have a dialogue, meaningful dialogue that would actually yield recommendations that can be taken forward. Now, we realize that it is not enough to have just a forum, and therefore we would be putting together a strategy on how to have a continued engagement with the private sector, even as we begin to develop this particular instrument. And the continued engagement with the private sector, we need to understand it very well. If you take any big country in the world and you think about how policies are made, and this is, I used to be a lecturer, so I used to say to my students, trade policies are nothing but externalization of business models of companies you have. So you create rules that can support the businesses you have in your own country. And which is why even in our case now, we need to sit on the table with the private sector and create rules that can actually support their businesses. And in this case, we're talking about cross-border businesses. I thought that, moderator, I should stop there just to give this broad overview of where we stand with the AFCFTA, and we are very much open to having any one of you who want to know more about us. We are at the Liberia Road, and we are also reachable through electronic means, and I think there's a lot in store for the continent. Thank you very much.
And you certainly have done a yeoman's job, ladies and gentlemen, the Director of Coordination and Programs of the AFTA Secretariat, Dr. Tuteti Mako. And now it's my pleasure to invite to take their places up here to wade through filling the funding gap for infrastructure. The Regional CEO of the UBA West Africa, make welcome Sarata Kone Niam. Joining her, the CFO MTN Ghana, Madam Antoinette Kofi. To make welcome partner Argentio Capital Olumide Ogun Forowa. Partner Premier Invest Rene Awambing. Chairman ALPI Ulashuku Satsuru. And a partner, Latham and Watkins LLP, David Ziyambi. And taking his place on the far right is the moderator, the UN Resident Coordinator to Ghana, His Excellency Charles Abani. Preceding this panel is a foundation to be laid by the President and member of the Board of Directors of the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, EBID. Make welcome Dr. George Ajikun Donko.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. All protocols observed. His Excellency, Mr. Charles Abani, who is the moderator for this session, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege to have been invited to set the context for this afternoon session, which is under the theme, filling the funding gap for infrastructure. I extend my warmest regards to distinguished panelists for this session and wish them very best as they discuss the topic under consideration. Ladies and gentlemen, infrastructure is essential for unlocking economic growth and development and improving the standard of living of the citizen. Infrastructure financing is confronted with many challenges. The world needs to invest around $6 trillion annually in sustainable infrastructure to meet the UN sustainable goals by 2030. The UNCTAD previously hinted that achieving the SDGs will require an investment of around $5 to $7 trillion in infrastructure. The global infrastructure financing gap is estimated to be around 415 trillion by 2040, according to McKinsey Global Institute, Asian Development Bank, and Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. The World Bank and the African Development Bank estimate Africa's infrastructure financing gap to be around $100 billion annually. In Africa, in particular, this infrastructure gap has led to deplorable roads, erratic power supply, hosting housing deficits, among others, leading to poor economic conditions for our people. The lack of resource recent experience with infrastructure development, and why we have made limited progress in closing the gaps that exist. In the post-independence period, many African governments set out to develop infrastructure to sustain the many state-owned enterprises, which have been established to kickstart the much-touted era of industrialization. This resulted in widening fiscal deficits, with some resorting to deficit financing to close the gap and weakening their currencies in the process. Data from the International Monetary Fund show that some countries' debt levels had exceeded 100% of GDP by the early 1980s as a result